So Janet Caliri is a human potential practitioner whose mission is igniting human potential. And believe me, I could use some igniting, Janet. I'm sure I have human potential here somewhere. Janet's a former medical professional in cardiovascular radiology and a former private in-home caregiver, a professional photographer, a certified life coach, published author, and trained art teacher for emotionally disturbed and at-risk youth at an award-winning nonprofit in Los Angeles. It's there that she learned how to work with students of different challenges and how to build community, handle interventions, and instill a culture of respect and courage, accountability, where students and teachers work and play together as equals. Janet is the founder of Visible Transitions. After having gone through many life transitions herself, the latest being a 5-year illness that tried to steal her life force, but didn't, Visible Transitions was born, combining her most loved passions and skills. This photographic methodology effectively supports people who are challenged in or about to embark in a life transition. This is done by charting progress, one click at a time, while exploring self-care and non-dual science techniques. Please join me in welcoming Janet in her vision of creating joy and ease for children, adults, and seniors who are challenged with life transitions.
Thanks for being here. Chance Massaro invited me to speak, or he encouraged me to come speak, and he's not here today, but I want to give Chance a thanks for that. Today, I'm going to show you 3 keys to more ease and joy that you can take into your workplace and with your clients. So I just want to make a note that the methodology I'm going to show you today can be used on yourself. It can be used with children. It can be used with adults, teenagers, seniors. It can be used in everyday life, not just a transition. I've gone through a lot of transitions myself, and I've used this technique. And recently, as Evelyn mentioned, there was a 5-year period where I was really sick. If you could go to the next slide. And my adrenal glands were exhausted. So who's familiar with adrenal glands? Okay, this whole room ought to be familiar with adrenal glands. Because the adrenal glands, they are responsible for the homeostasis of our body. All the hormones, specifically cortisol, the stress hormone. How many of you have stress? Okay. When we are stressed for a prolonged period of time, or we have a trauma, the cortisol can be too high, for example, and it throws off all the hormones. For me, I lost some brain function, my metabolism, and my immune system. And I did lose my life force for several years, but I got it back, as you can see through the picture, the before and after picture. So really quick, I like to share my personal story because it helps you relate and it helps you feel like you're not alone and you have a sense of belonging and you don't think that you're so crazy, and we all go through our stuff. And during this 5-year illness, what I did was I picked up a camera, and I happen to be a professional photographer, but that really doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. I picked up a camera, and I began to take pictures of little bits of evidence of my progress. Okay. And before I go ahead, I do want to say this. This is not about positive thinking, it's about allowing. So just keep that in mind as I talk to you about this technique and the 3 keys, okay? What I did was I took pictures of evidence of progress, and I began to feel more at ease. I began to feel less stressed. I began to build some hope that my life was going to get better. I began to feel more confident. In 2012, I had enough life force to return back to Northern California, and I began studying non-dual sciences. It's tantric yoga philosophy, the Sanskrit scriptures, way back thousands of years ago. It's the basic teaching of all the teachings that you hear or that you read in books. And it's basically this. It is about the act of allowing. In other words, when you're in a transition, how many of you like to push it away to make it different? Okay. Or how many of you want to, how many of you like wish it was the way it used to be? You're attached and you want to go back there and grab it and pull it. Yeah? Okay. When we're in those positions, in those mindsets, we're creating stress in our body and we're actually delaying our healing. Okay. The great thing about stress and overwhelm and maybe depression and anxiety is everything is temporary. Okay? So I use this technique when I work with aging people. And I've been a private caregiver on and off for many years and working with them. So, by the way, I'm used to having more of an interactive type talk and workshop and physical pictures that I can show you. So if I seem to be off with the slideshow, just let it go. Okay? Because I just like to be in the moment and sometimes it might not match. So let's go to the next slide and see what we have. Okay. So the 3 keys, here's the 3 keys that I'm going to review with you. Sufficient self-care, evidence of progress, and the non-dual approach, which is reducing the resistance to what is and the attachment to what was. Okay, so here's the 3 keys. And when you're ready, you can click to the next slide. First of all, I want to ask you, what are your PPIs? Your pains, problems, and issues. So who wants to share the PPIs that you have with your clients? Yes.
They're in crisis mode, so they're totally amped up. Their problem most of the time is fixable, and the issues is a matter of teaching how to avoid that problem in the future.
Okay, great. Thank you. Who else wants to share? What are the PPIs of your clients? Yes, Mark.
The pains are loss of previous abilities, whether it's cognitive or physical. The problems are stemming from that, all of finding out how to live currently, and then the issues with that are the acceptance and transition is hard.
Transition is hard, okay. Pains, issues, anyone want to share? I know you all have them, okay. Yes?
Mine are a little different because I'm a realtor, but they're along the same lines. The pains are normally insecurity, fear of where people are going to wind up next, if they're going to be happy there, if it's too cramped, if it's too big, if they can afford it. The problems come along, a lot of them come along during the escrow, which is monetarily extremely impactful for our clients, and frequently at some point they completely fall apart. And that's probably one of the issues, but what we found is number 1, to expect that, and number 2, to manage their expectations in advance. And it's so helpful to kind of lay out what could happen and without scaring people. But here's maybe what we can expect, and here's what we can do to help.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share? Okay, so we all have pains, problems, and issues in our personal life with our work and with our clients. So next slide, please. It is what it is. So when we do have an issue, a transition, a pain, a problem, or an issue, the truth is, it is what it is. So if we can look at it from that framework, it is what it is. We are not a victim of it. It is what it is. So now, that it no longer has power over us. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So the first piece, self-care. Self-care, I think, is your best health-care. Yeah, okay. So you can just... These are examples of self-care: cuddling, napping, dancing, exercising. I'm as good to others to the degree I am with me. Who has heard of that saying, put your oxygen mask on first before assisting others? Yeah? Okay. How could you possibly help someone else if you're not breathing enough oxygen yourself?
That's right.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm as good to others to the degree I am with me. If I'm at 50%, if I'm only giving 50% to myself, that's how much I'm giving to you, my client, my spouse, my partner, my colleague. We are, especially women, we are not cultured or instructed to put ourselves first. We're typically instructed to put ourselves last, and that leads to burnout. Who is familiar with burnout? All right. That's why I left the medical field. Yeah, so burnout it pretty much occurs when we're just not giving enough to ourselves. Filling the gas tank, there's all kinds of analogies, yeah? You know, it's like fill the gas tank. Your car will drive. It has power, it has fuel to drive. Next slide. Okay. This was when I was really in the midst of my illness, and the primary way I healed myself, by the way, is with nutrition, and that's a whole other talk. And nutrition, so basically I needed to rearrange and change the entire way that I was eating, combining food, the foods, what I was putting in my body, what I was not. Do you know that food can be a stressor? It's not just your outside environment. What you put inside your body is a stressor. If you chew 24 times, you are properly chewing so that the enzymes in your mouth can properly break down the food and start the digestive system. It actually begins in the mouth. If you think, you really need to be careful about what you're thinking and dialoguing while you eat. You're ingesting that. You are ingesting your thoughts, you're ingesting your emotions. It will affect your digestion. I guarantee you there's studies on it. So part of my frustration was that I was in the kitchen a lot. I was very frustrated. So I had all this resistance. I wanted to push it away, make it different. I had an attachment back to my Italian blood, bread, pasta, and wine. And I was this constant conflict inside of me. So I began to take pictures of things that, my food prep. I got silly, little childlike wonder, and I made a happy face with the eggs. And that was the first step with the photography, is starting to chart things that I was doing for self-care. Okay, so next slide. Okay, and then a little imagery decreases resistance and cravings. So you all laughed when you saw that picture of the egg smiley face? I think most of you laughed. Okay, laughter is the shortest distance between two people. It's also a great stress reducer. So you laughed. That's what I did. I started taking pictures of things, childlike wonder, things that made me laugh and smile. What happens when we laugh and smile more often?
Releases nice chemicals.
Releases the feeling good chemicals. It decreases stress, okay? All right. So it increases confidence and relaxation. I'm like, hey, all right, I'm doing good for myself. I'm taking the time to prepare food and a nice preparation on my table, and I'm chewing, and I'm loving myself more, okay? Okay, so next slide, please. The second piece, evidence of progress. Okay, recall a time when you were in a transition, a change, and you thought you were making no progress. Who's been there? Okay, and then you suddenly saw evidence of your progress. Do you recall that your body, maybe your shoulders just like sunk a couple of inches? Maybe you got the chills. Maybe you smiled. You became more confident. You were just so relieved. Is anyone relating to any of this?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, when we note our small baby steps, Small, just really small baby steps. We are reducing resistance to what is. Life transitions are fundamental. They're always going to be here. Always. You cannot stop them. You can avoid them and do some preventive maintenance, but in general. So when it comes to aging, we're all going to age. We're all going to get sick at some point during our lives. And if you are somebody who's caring, if you're a child of an aging parent, who here is a child of an aging parent? Okay. And maybe your parent, you're feeling really irritated with your parent, or your parent has a sort of dementia. You think your parent is uncooperative, and you think that you know what's best for your parent. Is anybody resonating with what I'm saying? Okay, good. All right. So we'll get more into that. But if you could actually, if you were to take this little methodology of taking pictures of evidence of progress, if you were to work with your parents or your clients, so again, this is across the board, so whoever you're focused on right now for today or this week, you can keep that person in your mind. But if you help this person document evidence of their progress, they are going to start healing. They're going to start healing faster. Because they're going to reduce their resistance, they're going to reduce their stress, anxiety, depression, all of these things that come with illness or any type of transition. Now go back to what I was saying earlier. This is not about positive thinking. It's about allowing. So even when there is anxiety and there's stress and there's depression and whatnot, do not attempt to make it different. Okay, this is a client of mine. She's a woman in her mid-40s with a uncurable neuroendocrine cancer. She had cancer, I want to say that. She now has no cancer. I've been working with her for a year. Okay, hold on one second. And we never focused on her cancer going away. Why? Why did we not focus on this?
But you don't want to focus on what you don't want.
Correct. What else?
You didn't want to change it. You didn't want to change it. You were allowing.
Correct. Yes. Don't be focusing on what we don't want and allowing. Yeah. Adyashanti, he's a teacher of mine. He says, want what you have and do not want what you do not have. So we have this pile of pills and needles. What I did with my clients is I had her take pictures of her pills, and several months later, evidence of progress. Okay, now click again. 1 pill to have. Okay, and there's more photos along the way. I just don't have time to go through it, but you get the point. Now, go back to this first photo. If you were to just look at that one, that's a photo that would probably cause a lot of resistance, right? Oh my God, look at all those pills and those needles. Ah, that means this and that means that. And they have power over me, okay? They don't. So in the next piece, the third piece, I'm going to show you how to look at something that you don't like, okay, that maybe causes stress or resistance or overwhelm or attachment. I'm going to show you how to reduce that, and I'm going to show you how to take it back into your workplace. Okay, so this is a great story. So we never focused on her cancer. We focused on her evidence of progress, her self-care, first and foremost, and then I took her through the method, which you'll learn in a few minutes, reducing the resistance and attachments, okay? What happened was she had more ease and joy in her daily life. She went through chemo, and she stopped the chemo. And as a result of her having more ease and relaxation and more allowing of her situation, and I think this is true, and I haven't done a study yet, but I see this all the time. She was more connected to her intuition. She was more connected to her ideas and solutions. She was just more open. She was more open to receiving what life wanted to bring her. Life brought her a free trial of immune therapy. Okay? She has no cancer. Next slide. This is a woman with who was recently diagnosed with bipolar. Thank you. And she likes to draw, so I had her draw. What happened was she was on these meds and they weren't working for her, so she went off all her meds and she started to use holistic approach. So she drew the medication bottle and the natural approach, being out in the sun, eating healthier, and then she felt more connected. So you see the hands holding, she felt more connected. Okay, so let's move. One thing I want to say is a way to like empower somebody and besides like, so here's a way to reduce somebody's resistance. So I was working with a woman with dementia and she was very controlling and wanted things her way. So what I did, she was a diabetic, so I showed her her glucose. Every week I showed her her glucose scale so she could see her numbers, evidence of progress, so she could see her numbers, how they went up and down, and they stayed down. I cooked her food that was appropriate for a diabetic, and I served it to her, and I gave her choice. I never told her, I don't tell clients or patients what to do. I don't tell them what they have to do. What I do is I present choices to them, and I let them make that choice. Okay, they feel more empowered when they get to make a choice. What I do is most of you are probably parents, but it's the same thing with a kid. You know, you tell them their choices, but the consequences of their choices, and then you let them do their own choosing, and they'll fall or they won't. And so it's the same here. And basically refraining from telling people what to do, just constantly giving them their choices and their options, and then the consequences. Ask them questions. What's it like to be you? Mom, what's it like to be you? Or Mr. Smith, what's it like to be you? Ask them questions. Draw them out. Don't assume that you know what it's like to be them. They have stories to tell, and a lot of times that's very healing for them. Okay, so next slide. Just skip. Yeah, you can skip to the next one. Okay, the non-duality, the third piece. Non-duality is the opposite of duality, right? Polar opposites, we need duality in order to exist. Okay? So this is an act of allowing instead of pushing something away or wishing it to be different or the way it was. So imagine in your body, if you're in this constant state of trying to push something away or making it different, or being attached to something or wishing something the way it was, can you imagine the stress that you're causing? You're causing yourself some suffering. We're all conditioned to do this. But this is a creative approach. Okay, so reducing resistance to what is and reducing attachment to what is not. Next slide, please. Okay, what do you see here?
Looks like an argument.
Argument. Frustration. Blame. Defensiveness.
Stress.
What is that?
Stress.
Stress, okay. Okay, so you all answered the question where we've all been conditioned to answer this kind of question when we look at an image. We are judging all the time. It doesn't mean we're criticizing, we're just judging. We take in data through our eyes, our taste, our nose, our ears, our touch. We take in data and we make up a story. We make up stories all the time. That's okay. How many of us suffer from our stories because we think it's true?
The rumor mill.
Okay, yes. So can you imagine how powerful this will be for you to take to your clients? Okay, and take into the workplace and take into your personal life. Now, what I want you to do, I'm going to ask you the same question. And all I want you to do is answer me with the objects that you see or the data. No describing anything. For example, finger pointing. So that's how I want you to answer me back. So what do you see in this picture?
Finger pointing.
Finger pointing.
Hands up in the air.
Hands up in the air.
Eye contact.
Frowning.
Frowning.
Eye contact.
Eye contact.
Body language.
Body language.
A necklace.
A necklace. A sweater.
Earrings.
An eye. An earrings. Nose. Mouth. Finger, thumb, hands.
No wedding rings.
No wedding rings. The absence of rings. Okay. So what? Okay, that's fingers, sweaters, earrings, hair, finger pointing. There's no judgment there, is it? You're just stating the facts. So, did you notice what your body or how you felt inside the first time you said? You thought argument, blaming, and then the next time you're like, finger, hands, sweater. It's kind of boring, isn't it? But you became neutral. You were a neutral observer. Next slide, please. You were a neutral observer. If you look at this picture, what's the first thing that you think of?
Getting that news.
Getting bad news, right. But let's do the practice. Stethoscope, clipboard, what else?
Hand up chin.
Hands on chin.
Both dressed in white.
What was that?
Both are dressed in white.
Dressed in white.
Hair up.
Is that-
Hair up.
Okay. Hair up. Okay. Boring. Neutral. No emotion. So there's no story. We're just stating facts. We're looking at data. We're just stating facts. If you take this technique into your life, I promise you that you will reduce stress and anxiety and depression and resistance and overwhelm with yourself, with your loved ones, and with all of your clients. Next slide. This is a patient. She's giving herself a belly shot. That was the biggest resistance she had. So we did a photo walkabout is what I call this time that I spend with a client, or they do it on their own. And I stood above her. So that's her head or her hat. She had no hair at the time. And I stood above her and I photographed down. And she was pretending at that point to give herself a shot. And then we made a big print, and she studied that. Finger, hand, needle, skin, shirt, hat, jeans, belt loop, studs, over and over and over and over again for a week. And it significantly reduced her resistance to her belly shot, which was every single day. Okay. Next slide. So this methodology of taking pictures of the way that we self-care, the evidence of progress, and things that we are resistant to or attached to, decrease resistance and cravings, increases confidence and relaxation. By the way, Chance Massaro, I wish he was here, but he already knows this, supporting new neurons in the hippocampus. Every time you take a picture of something that you value, whether you like it or not, you are creating new neurons in the hippocampus. What is this helping? This is helping you or your clients or your loved one create new patterns and habits more easily. And how many of us are in positions with somebody that they'd be better off if they changed a habit? Okay, this methodology can move that along. All right. Cultivates present moment. Each time we take a picture of something we value, it's the present moment. So we're not in anxiety, we're not in depression, we're nowhere else except right here. Fosters understanding, compassion, empathy. So it really helps people know that they're not alone. It's a creative approach versus sitting with somebody telling you what to do, or sitting with the therapist. It's a creative approach. And lastly, it deepens harmony within the family unit, because can you see how this would do that? Okay. I think maybe one more slide. Great. And one little click. And one more click. So childlike wonder is what I'm ending with. Childlike wonder is when we're open and we're connected with people, and everything's reduced. Our stress is reduced, our resistance, our overwhelm, it's all reduced. And in that connection is when we have harmony, is when we have that sense of belonging and connection and family. And that is a true path to healing. And so now I want to open up for questions. Don't be shy. Well, I have a question for you then. How do you think this technique could work with dementia?
Well, are you talking when you take a picture, literal picture, or just a picture in your brain and hold on to it?
The best thing to do is take a picture. Yeah, a handheld, whatever, a cell phone, a disposable camera. Or if that's not available, you can go online and get an image of something, So, yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to talk about the dementia, but for me, I live in NonDuality, but I work out here. And oftentimes, I like to pull over on the side of the road, and right now the mustard seed is blooming. And the vines, especially the old vines, I like the old twisted vines that just have character, And so for me, sometimes I'll kneel down a little bit, I'll pull my car over, and just take a moment to take in what I see. And sometimes I want to just take that moment to take that snapshot. And sometimes, I'll file it in my phone and forget about it, but then I'll be scrolling, I'll be like, oh, that moment. And so for me, that brings me joy. And that, when you were talking about it brings, you said neurons?
Yeah, new neurons.
For me, that's exciting to know. That brings me joy. So I have to, sometimes I get so caught up, I have a parent disabled and living, who suffered a traumatic brain injury. I have my life, I have my business. And so I'm trying to find this balance. And sometimes it's just simply taking 10 minutes in between appointments to pull over on the side of the road and look at that beautiful, strong vine with those mustard seeds and those flowers around it and just enjoy that moment. So for me, that's when you were talking about those pictures, you were talking about being in that moment, that brings me joy, and that keeps me in that moment.
Excellent. That's an excellent example, especially of self-care. But it's being in the moment. It's so precious, and it really works. It really works for us to reduce our stress. Yeah.
Well, in mental health, one of the main self-care tools that we try and encourage people to do is journaling. I think photojournaling is so much more powerful because I feel like it not only provides context, but another layer to our memories. Because our memories tell us stories too. You think, I've made no progress, or I've made all the progress that I need to make, or something like that. We usually meet somewhere in the middle, or we just lose sight of maybe where we're actually at or what we're actually experiencing. So I feel like photojournaling makes a lot more sense than even just journaling, because as we learn and as we do progress, we can retain all of that and take that with us and remember what we've learned and where we've come.
Mm-hmm.
And like what you were talking about, allowing it and recognizing what it is.
Great, thank you. Yeah, the combination of writing and imagery is an excellent resource, and it really depends on the person too. Like that, the woman with bipolar, she likes to draw, so I had her draw, and then we took a picture of it. So it's a time to go. Okay, it's time to go. I'm passing around a list. If you want to get a gift, it's a PDF of 3 keys to more ease and joy. You can put your name on the list, and then you'll see on the table, I'm teaching a class at the new Sonoma West Medical Center, starting in February. And so if you want to learn more about the technique, I totally invite you to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jana. This was really informative. Thank you very much. Okay, well, again, thank you very much, Jana. This was a great presentation. I think we all really enjoyed that, right? Yeah. Very informative.